There was a saying that Long would tell me at the restaurant, and I hated it. It was a trigger. He would go outside and he would listen to me. And he would listen, he would be patient, and come to find out he probably understood about 6%. Because there was a lot of word, and I'm like, Long, are you really understanding me? He's like, no, maybe a little bit. And I'm like, dude, I've been talking for 30 minutes and you're just now telling me that you have probably understood maybe 6 words. Can we start over? Like, okay, we'll just start from the beginning. But then Long would say, no, 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 no. This is your problem. And he would say the most riddling thing, and I've written about this before, but he would say, Mountain, you're like the mountain. Right now, like you're like a mountain. But later you realize there's no mountain. But then you still can't understand that there's mountain and no mountain. Mountain is no mountain. And I'm like, what the are you talking about? I'm like, I just talked for 30 minutes about things that were completely unrelated to mountains. And this is what you got from me. Like I'm supposed to be learning from you. It was so annoying. And then there would be times where Lyle would overhear and he would just walk out. He's like, here we go with the mountain bullshit. And I just figured it out today. Like I thought I had a handle on it, but I'm like, I'm doing a lot with my practice. Like surely mountain, no mountain is going to make sense someday. And finally it has. And what I did is I replaced the word mountain with spoon. And Donna just gave an example of spiritual maturation, in my estimation. And it involves mountain, no mountain, and then mountain again, no mountain. Now, Long used the word mountain because just same reason he would tell me about generals, because he learned this from his culture. And his culture often used figures such as generals and emperors and great doctors. This is just the way that people kept stories going. This is how you tell stories. You can't tell a boring ass story and expect that to be shared for centuries. No, you got to make that shit interesting. So that's, one person will tell another person, and hopefully the moral of the story is what's getting communicated. And we can still learn from it, even though there's some parts of it that are embellished to keep you interested. Maybe this guy didn't get swallowed by a gigantic whale. Maybe that's trying to tell me something about something that I should be looking at. But so I replaced the word mountain with spoon. And I related that to the movie The Matrix. And I instantly saw my spiritual evolution and at times lack thereof. So before there was any evolution at all, actually, no, I was born mountain, no mountain, mountain, and mountain. Like whatever the hell Long is talking about, I was born that. And maybe he would call that the uncarved block. I call bullshit on uncarved block. There's some carves. It's not a lot, but we are born with a little bit of carve, a little bit of chisel here and a little bit of chisel there. DNA is a fickle thing, yada yada. And in Chinese medicine, we have what we call pre-heaven essence, the energy of the mother and the energy of the father coming together to form a brand new energy unto itself and all of that stuff, right? So at some point, interference and chiseling of my block occurs. I am told that a mountain is a mountain, and I'm like, yes. And I take it for not granted, I take it as stone cold hard truth that a mountain is a mountain. And I don't mean this in any kind of disrespectful way to anybody. It's just observation. People can live and die thinking that the mountain was a mountain and just a mountain and take it as and you know how I'm saying this, right? Like taking it as that's what it is in an absolute sense. Like it is absolutely a mountain. That's the way that we talk about things in the world. Does that make sense? I guess I got to understand that before I can explain the no mountain part.
Yeah, indisputable agreement of what we're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
indisputable fact.
right. Which you could start to argue Plato's allegory, right? Or you could start to argue what Don Juan would say is that you take everything as being real, as being a fact or as being fiction, but it has to be one or the other. It has to be this or that. And that's reduction mindset. That's just it's a cancer to the human species, in my opinion. So we're looking at the world as this is the way it is. It is real. I am viewing reality. There is no alternate interpretations. But then maybe we take some peyote, maybe we take some LSD, or maybe we have a life-changing experience. Maybe we have death brushes us. We talked about this, brush with spirit. We had a brush with spirit. And now all of a sudden we're like, man, or maybe we're a scientist and we learn about atoms. And then you go from inside atoms, it's like, oh, now we have a nucleus. And oh, but inside a nucleus, now we have quarks and all of these different, oh, and then maybe like Einstein said
Right.
that,
So this
yeah,
solid object isn't really solid because
it's not really
everything is
solid.
moving. The electrons are moving, the
Yeah, yeah,
protons are
yeah.
moving. Yeah,
There is
yeah.
no spoon, right? We went from there's a spoon and it's reality to there is no spoon. It's only yourself, man. And then we get stuck there. And then we're just like, the whole world isn't happening. It's just in my mind. And, I can ignore things and I don't want to feel that way. It's not vibing with me right now. So I'm just gonna switch it up. And that's what Einstein, yeah. And of course, this is embedded in the foundations of Chinese medicine theory with yin and yang and the trigrams into hexagrams. It is everything is a hologram. That's why you can treat the whole body in the ear, you can treat the whole body in the hand, you can treat the whole body in the foot. The whole body is visible in the tongue, and the whole body can be mapped on the face. And that's why you have Fibonacci sequence in the tiniest of things, in the mediumest of things, and in the largest of things. And Einstein said, guys, I think that when we get to the atom, we're going to find smaller. And when we get to the smaller, we're going to find smaller. And then when we get to it, he's like, maybe this doesn't end. Maybe it's infinite. So a lot of people, myself included, for a period of time, got stuck from mountain to no mountain. And it's all just energy, right? You want to be rich? Just think about it. It's all just energy. And I do this thing with my hand because that's how it makes me feel, right? But then it's like skill. And I'm sorry, this is my truest argument against just thinking about it. Because you cannot accumulate skill in any other way than through practice. I have never seen Bashar. I have never seen Abraham Hicks. I have never seen Guru yada yada wake up one day with a skill they didn't have before, to where they could just dig a well to maximum depth and find water and just irrigate an entire village. And they just woke up with that. They just knew how to do it. They could just perform open heart surgery. No, they woke up with some abstract ideological ways of understanding different understandings. And that can be very beneficial for a person depending on where they are in this mountain, no mountain process. But if we get stuck in no mountain, I think that is just as much of an error as getting stuck in mountain. Spoon, no spoon. But what Donna pointed out is that both are true at the exact same time. There is a spoon, but it's also made of quarks. And without the human being, that word doesn't exist, that function doesn't exist, that idea doesn't exist. And now it's like a sound in a forest with nobody to hear. It doesn't exist, right? Or at least that's the we're following the logic here, or the thought experiments. So the idea is that with spiritual maturation, you learn that, yeah, there is no spoon, but if I want to eat a bowl of cereal, pass me the spoon, because both are true and it's a constant transformation. And that transformation sometimes for us seems very slow because we're the human observer. And then there's times like Donna's noticing with her change. Sometimes it seems more rapid. But I guarantee underneath that rapidness is still something that's not changing as quickly. Maybe it doesn't need to change, it shouldn't change, and we don't want it to change as quickly. But I know that if Donna really looks at it in light of what feels now like a lot of change, you'll probably still find some things that are pretty constant, like attention itself, awareness